All right, and we're back. Uh, so after many retakes of this, I think I finally, if I don't have it memorized by now, I don't know what's going on. I'm having a rough day with this. So we're coming back up here to video editing in 1817. We're off to section 6, which is the edit page, finally. And so there's a little bit of setup needed to bring in get our edit page started and bring in some files. So let's do this. I'm going to go down to DaVinci Resolve here, bring it up. And it'll only take a second to get in here. This thing's pretty fast. All right, so as so many good things happen in the right clicking on DaVinci Resolve, let's get a new project started, and we're going to call that the edit page. You even spelled it right this time. Awesome. Okay, great. So it brought us right into the cut page. I don't know why it does that, but first, before we do anything, we're going to need to go over here to the media pool page and bring in, remember when we set our main kind of mapped drive over to the school drive that I've assigned it to, and bring in our DaVinci Resolve folder that has all the goodies in it. Change over everything. And let's make sure everything's looking good here. Startup. Okay, we are looking good. So from here, we got that in. From here, we're going to go over to the edit page. Looks like this. We already have our startup stuff because I just clicked on it in the other page. But before we go anywhere and do anything else, we got to come up here to the File tab, click on that, come over and make ourselves a new timeline. So we have somewhere to put all this stuff. So let's call this Movie 1. And this little thing here is just is the time code. If you want to change it and take the hour out or set it to whatever you want to do to begin with, that's fine for your own reference. There is a setting down here that you can go through and change a lot of the other format settings, monitor settings, output settings. However, we have already put a set of project settings together when we said OK to things, which is 920 by 1080, pretty simple. So we're going to go ahead and create that, and now we are off and running. And if you remember when I was talking about the timelines, the smart timelines in one of the last one. So if you click on that down here, number 4, you'll see our timeline will start up in that, and they, as will the rest of them from here on out. So let's come back here to start up and get to editing. I will be doing most everything today by the speed editor keyboard as much as I possibly can. That's the point of this class for me, as I may have mentioned in the past. And so I'm going to put it where we can both see everything that's going on here. And we're going to come up here and start with the guy jumping off the roof of that place. Okay, so we can pretty easily just shuttle through things here. And right before he jumps, let's just catch him there on that regular stance. There we go. And he's going to hop over onto the rails and then up the wall. And his friend's going to come over, and we're going to stop his friend right when his feet get past the railing, the bottom of the railing. That looks pretty good. We'll stop there, append to end, and bring our first clip in. So on to this next clip here. Same thing pretty much. Let's go back here and see where he comes in at. There's our guard that goes over, and there's his friend that comes down. Remember we caught him just on the tail end where his feet were just below it. Hmm. Okay. And he's going to come over here and run off. Ooh, see ya. We'll park him about there just so we got some room to play with. Penned. All right, next one over is our man that's going to jump up the side of the building here. Let's have a look. He's going to come across, grab a hold, jump up, and then him and his friend are going to run up there. And this is a double camera position, so let's start him here on the sidewalk. Hit him at end, or it's at beginning, at in. You'll hop up here pretty quick. This is the guy you want on your team, apparently, and we'll say out, penned, and we'll move over to the next one, which is the same shot, just from a different camera angle. So he's coming up the thing here. Remember, we caught him just a little bit past the incline and the handrail. That's our end mark. And they both come up and run off. And we'll park them there, just leave a little extra room if we have to tidy up our trims a little bit later on. There's that. We'll end it and put it in. And the next guy here. The next guy's a little bit tighter. So there's not much to this. You want to catch him. Where is that? I think we're trying to catch him right there. Oops. Sorry. There we go. And he's going to do a flip, and we got to really watch where he lands. Okay. Now, you see his arms kind of make a real distinctive flapping motion there. I'm going to catch that flapping motion in the up position because we have another dual camera shot that goes into a slow motion from here. And we need to be able to catch that just right so we can make that look pretty seamless. So let's get that going. All right, so this is all the same shot, just from a different camera angle. And it's also in slow motion, so he's hopping over. He lands. And I think that's it there, because the next one's a pretty big movement down. Yeah. So let's put our endpoint right there. And I'm going to run this out a little bit more too, because we're going to trim all of this stuff. Maybe not all of it, but a couple of them, just to show how we can trim things. And that's probably pretty good. Call that out. And we'll have appended that. And notice how long that second, that last clip is. It's long because it was a slow-mo by 50% slower, so it's twice as long. If it's half as slow, then it's twice as long. And there's a couple of things that we can talk about here. This little guy here is just to looking at the timeline as a whole. Okay, that's so far everything we've done, and we click on the one to the left side, boom, it's going to show us everything we've done. We click on the one in the middle, it's going to kind of zoom in wherever we have our playhead. Okay. And then the last one of those is, let's go back out. And the last one of these is you set it where you want it to be. So we click on our custom view and say we want it to be, just for grins, so say we wanted it to be really tight. Nobody would for any reason, but if we went for some reason out here, okay, we move around and then we wanted to come back in really tight, there you have it. It's not necessarily helpful, it's just a demonstration on that one. Most of the time people set them just kind of somewhere in between, which is where I'm going to leave mine. Okay, so let's double check and see what we've got so far. So we've got our timelines done with our editor rather than the mousy ways that they like to do things. And so it looks like the next set of things is going to be manipulating the clips that we have laid down. All right. That'll be starting with number 59. Okay, looks like I misspoke myself a little bit here. We're actually on skill 58, and that's a simple perform a lift and extract, and also perform a lift and ripple. So to lift this guy here, we're just going to highlight that one and get him out of here. Let's make sure that the right target's in the right place. And let's just hit delete, see what happens. Delete. Nothing happens other than that one piece of video is gone. Okay, let's bring that back. Now, the ripple delete, which is a lift and delete here. Boom. What does that do? That it deleted not only the sound with it because they were both on a target track, but it deleted that place and then moved the rest of everything forward. So let's undo that and see that once again here. And maybe it's worth saying too that this chain here, right here, connects the sound to the video. So you'll note at this point, I can select these individually, but if the sound is selected and I hit the chain, now everything is selected. Oops. There we go. So when everything is selected, the chain links, and when you unselect things and reselect them again, they are married together. The only way you can undo that is you have to select the chain and then select one or the other, and then they will be unmarried, and you can feel free to move them around as you see fit. But look what happens when you move them around. You guide it to the little bit, and it'll tell you that it's a 1 second and 11 frames out of sync with what its sound should be. And I think that's handy that that comes up in red because that does happen with editing from time to time. Okay, that was 58. I'm going to pause this and we can get 59 set up for you. Okay, so I'm going to attempt to insert some clips, but as you can see, I'm going to come up here and I'm going to do it in V2, and that's my target track. So the clips that I insert should ripple insert with any luck. I'm going to look to do that right there. And these, yeah, that should bring the up-down keys like this. What I'm doing right now is I'm making sure that I have, with my up-down keys, it comes exactly to the entry edit point. So I've got my two old guys up here that I want to insert a second of. So I'll come over there. I think it doesn't really matter much where it goes. And I believe that I can hit Shift and the right arrow key, and we'll call that an out point there, and it'll come, and it shouldn't really matter much. Call that an endpoint key there, just to be on the safe side. But so theoretically, we got our V1 done, and we're going to shoot to put that in right above it, and we're going to use, you can use this guy here, insert clip F9. I'm going to try smart insert with my keyboard, and it did it. So we have our little guys, our little old guys there. As we play through that, yeah, there they are. All right, so let's go back to the with our up down arrow keys. That with the up arrow key, that goes right back to the next insert point of our where we're coming from here, and it's going to be this kid here, or is it going to be? Yeah, here we go. Let me remember how to do this here real quick. Yeah, here it is. Okay, so we're going to start it here. Let's maybe catch him on the run just a touch. Okay, let's start that here. In. And we're going to come over here. And we're going to try and catch him in mid-air, just like that. All right, that looks pretty good. Call out the out key and smart insert once again, since that works so well. Nice. All right, so up and down keys just to make sure that we landed back in the right spot. There is another of where he was. Yeah, there's another camera view of that. So he comes and I think we caught him right about there. Okay, that looks pretty good. Good enough. Look, gives him a little momentum. Okay, comes down and away. And let's end that right about here. Call that an out key. And smart insert. Boom. Okay, so we have just done some nice inserts. Yeah, pretty cool. Let me pause this for a second and make sure that we got everything right. I'm going to go back, share, and review this. So that looks like 58 and 59 done, coming up on 60. All right. Okay, for skill 60, we're going to perform an overwrite edit with track selection. Okay, so I think I got this. You might want to bear with me a little bit. So what he wants to do, you see this, the screen to the right there. Here's this guy jumping in slow motion. We had to kind of edit things around. He doesn't follow his own tracks very well. So there's that flip, and then we're going to work this bit of this guy here, and I've marked it here. I think I may remark that a little bit. Mark that here, and then he kind of gets midway, and I'll remark that back here. And the idea of this is we're going to come over here and we're going to overwrite it, but we're going to put it on the second track because it was advised that we don't do too much chopping up of the tracks. That if you can put it out, if you got the room to put it over it, you should probably put it over it. So let's try hitting overwrite clip F10. And there you have it. It wound up right on it. And let's go back and view it. So something kind of cool. This has a hotkey where we can hit it and then watch the thing on the big screen. Ding, 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 ding. I kind of want to grab that. I'm going to highlight this, and I'm going to use my nudge keys down here. And I'm going to nudge that to the right a little bit where it catches him a little bit more mid-flip. Yeah, see, and well, that's pretty close. I think that's what the instructor had in mind. Let's just do it once. We'll run through it once and on the big screen. Yeah. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, I think that's pretty much what he had in mind. All right, section 60, everybody. Okay, so skills going on here from 61, 62, and 63 using our markers. Obviously, we'll be using our keyboard markers. We're going to do a 3-point overwrite and a 3-point insert edit. Okay, so let me come over here and let's just pick a spot. Uh, Down here on the timeline. By the way, there's a key for that timeline and source. I'm still getting used to the keyboard myself. Why I'm trying so hard to make it a habit. Okay, so before he turns, let's put something in here. We'll call that our end marker. We'll go for a little bit, and then we'll call this our we'll just do a little bitty one. Call that our out marker right there. Okay, so now we're going to come up to the source frame. So I already have that set up. Again, I could have just touched the button there and I touched the stupid mouse. So why don't we pick something crazy? Oh, yeah, that's pretty good. We'll pick him in midair to cover that little tiny spot. And then we'll just find our button. Where is it? It's overwrite. And we go boom. And there it is. So we're coming along. He's about to land. And here's our little guy coming in. That didn't work very well, did it? So let's boom that out here. Come up to our source monitor and make sure that we had that right. So I don't think that that ever got put in correctly. Okay, that's our overwrite. So now, hit our overwrite button. Boom. Let's see how that worked. Flowing along. Okay, he just landed from his flip. Flowing along. Boom. Yeah, not so great, but we get the idea. So let's get the Control Z on that here. And here's the next part about this is the insert. And I believe that we can just simply, instead of using the overwrite button, there's a button right next to it marked insert. So let's try that, see how that goes, if that changes the ripple. Oh, there it does. So he comes down, he goes over, and you see him finish coming down. There you have it, boys and girls. 60, 61, 62, taken care of. Wow, that's really easy. I'm telling you, the keyboard's the way to go. I better shut up about the keyboard pretty soon. Okay. Okay, so this is going to be skill 64, and it's just a scene replace. Actually, what do they actually call this? 64 is called a how to replace and edit. Okay, so not so bad. So up here in the upper right here in the timeline here, the guy comes up. We got our little triplet of things over there we did before. He jumps the two sleeping guys and then gets in and runs away. So I think it's important that we see him land. So I'm going to do a split right here. How can we do that? I guess we could just do it with a blade just to save time here. Blade, click, done, back to the pointer. So now we have, he's landed, and that kind of whole sequence makes a little bit more sense. Okay, so here we're going to come and figure out right where we want to start that frame to be replaced. So we're going to put that there, and then we're going to come up here to the clip that I've already kind of queued up, and we're going to decide where he's leaving that area, and then it's going to come up here and do this. So I think I like that, right? The stride, he's going to do that. And rather than dawdling around on the with the mouse, I'm just going to come over here and I'm going to hit the replace button. Boom. So we play that back real quick. So here's the two old guys. Here he comes. He hops over him. He lands. He turns around, and then is replaced by that clip. And I did the instructions didn't say to do the split. I just went ahead and did that because it was bothered me. All right, so that is 64. All right, only a few more to go for this one. Yep, that's 64, 65 coming up. Okay, so this is skill 65 called a ripple overwrite. And so the first thing we got to do is we're up here in our source window with the guy running there, seeing back and forth, and he's going to do a crawl jump. So let's start him here where it's interesting. And he's now out of the frame. Okay. So, and then the next thing for this is to come down to the timeline and figure out where he fits in. So he's running, and his head appears right there. So I may try coming back a little further. I've tried this a bunch of times now, and I haven't really had much success. So this is my last effort. So there's my end mark. And let's call that my out mark there. Then hit the ripple delete button and see how it applies. Okay, so you'll notice on this that it inserted that and then did the necessary equations to get everything else. So let's boing, he goes boing, he goes boing. And so that's not too bad. That's a lot better than my other ones ever came out to be. All right, so skill 65 with the buttons and the keyboard. Sure you guys are tired of hearing about that. All right. All right, skill 66. Simple copy and paste here on the timeline. So we're going to come over here and highlight these two pieces. Maybe we need to join them. And they are linked. And so what we want to do is we want to copy them over here where the timeline is, kind of, and we'll have to bring them along to that. But one of the things we got to make sure that we're not doing is here, as you see where this bit of audio would, if we pasted it the way things are, it would overwrite the audio that's here. So how we can sort that out is we just turn that auto track detector, or that auto track selector off. I think that's off. Yeah, that's off. And we come here and we give it a right click and we say copy. And we come over here and we say paste. And there you have it. It went right to the front of the timeline there. And there, because it started off in V1 and was also assigned as a target track. And it couldn't come to audio 1, so it didn't mess with any of that. So perfect. That is skill 65, then that's all there is to that. Okay, see you in a minute. All right, so yesterday was kind of a disaster, and my presentations were going okay, and the information I was getting off of Udemy was okay, but I was having a lot of problems with OBS. Not that the software is bad; it was strictly pilot error on most of that. At any rate, I practiced with it a little bit more this morning, and I think that I've got everything solved to get through. Uh, the rest of this stuff, probably not today, but maybe in the next couple of days here. This was kind of a setback, and I'm sorry about that. So, at any rate, we'll see you in, I think, Skill 67 coming up. All right, thanks a lot. Okay, and we are back with Skill 67, still on the new DaVinci Resolve 1817 class here. So coming over here, we're going to do performing a lift and insert. So let's get to that real quick. This is super easy. Come over here to what's going on, and you'll notice that I've got this little guy here highlighted, and then all of the auto track sensors are highlighted, which means that we can move this around by holding down Shift and Control on our keyboard. Maybe I should show you that. Shift, Control on our keyboard, and picking it up with the mouse and moving it along. And now you'll notice wherever I move this, it creates a place to put that, both the sound and the video. It really does insert it wherever you want it to go. But you got to kind of be careful. What's best is that you insert it on lines that have already been edited. And that's not hard to do once you got the snap on. There is nothing to it. So if I put that at the end there, for example, and we come over here and move this forward a little bit and hit the play around button. Play around. All right. Okay, so that said, I'm going to put that back to where it was. Control Z. I didn't mean to have fat fingered that. And so that's pretty much the name of that tune. There's nothing to it. Just got to make sure you watch what you're doing. Make sure that you have your video insert points where they're supposed to be, and that you have your auto track selectors on here. That said, if you don't want it to be on like on video 1 or anything like that, you could deselect or select these as you see fit. Anyway, section 68, or skill 68, section 6, coming right up. Okay, where are we at here? Looks like we're on skill 68, and that's going to be swapping clips. You can raise the clip and do all this stuff. There is, however, a really slick way of doing this. You'll note that my 2 fingers here are on Shift and Control or Command, depending upon Mac or PC. But you highlight one of these 2 clips here. Let's highlight this guy, for example. Come on. There we go. So it's Shift, Control for me, period or comma, depending upon which side you want it to go to. This is comma. Oops. Excuse me. Shift, Control. There's that side. That's Shift, Command, or Shift, comma. Just swap a doodle back and forth. Very easy. And just make sure I get this back to where we got to before I started doing all this. There we are. Now we're home. Okay, coming right up. That was skill 68. This will be 69 coming right up. And I keep saying that just so I can track in case I mislabel something later. All right, see you in a second. Okay, so I guess it happens. This is skill 69, and the name of this skill is to select a group of clips before or after the control head here. Boom, boom, as it moves here. And there's a special key on the keyboard, which I'll show you. It's Y, and it's actually, they went through the trouble of actually marking it. So let me go back here before I forget. And the idea is that you have all of your auto track selectors highlighted on the video. I guess the targeting doesn't matter that much, but then you can touch the Y, and you notice that I'm on this track. I'm not before it. So you touch the Y, and it's supposed to select all the tracks, but it didn't. Okay, now if I came down here and hit the target up and hit the Y again, it did hit the bottom, but it still left out 2 clips. Now, I don't know if this is because that these clips were just put on top. They were dropped on top and they weren't inserted. They were just lifted and placed, or what the gig on that. But it is certainly a glitch in the software for sure. I mean, because there's still a clip. A clip is a clip. So there is a way around this. You just make a big selection and move things over as you see fit that you need to. And then they'll snap back into place. I'm going to move this and say Control Zoom, and that will bring everything back, or Control Z, Control Z, that'll bring everything back to the way it was. And therefore we have it. Skill 69, our first glitch. Outstanding. Okay, and we're back with section 6, skill 70. And there are times where you need to match a frame and then find out where that frame lives and what clip that lives. So there's a neat little key marked, the F key marked actually match frame. So you see that I'm over here in the source timeline, or excuse me, in the timeline, not the source timeline, in the timeline. So, and I'm going to put his foot right up there on the thing because that's an easy mark. Then I'm going to come over here to my F key, which is actually marked match frame, and touch it. And it's supposed to go over here to the source and show you that frame. Let's try that again. There we go. Okay, so once you're over here in the source frame, you can come up here and click on the source key and manipulate that as you see fit if you're going to want to do something with it. Beyond that, the other thing that happened here is supposedly you can hit Control F, and that's not what we're looking for. Let's try Option F. And there you see that came up there here. That is the very clip that source lives in. So F to find the match of the frame here, which we did, and then then Option or Alt F to come and find the very clip where it lives in within the media pool. All right, kind of cool. I could see where that would be handy for looking for stuff if you already had it down there. All right, see you in 71. Okay, so we're about to finish section 6 here. Finally, had a lot of trouble with this section with OBS and me not knowing it very well. So let's finish this off strong with skills 71 and 2. 71, how to add and remove blank tracks. And the last one is how to extract the overlaying gaps. So if you got gaps here, let me just show you. That'll make it easier. I have this one set up here where you can see that there are some gaps along the way here. And that if I just came over here, for example, and said, uh-oh, and highlighted that gap and said, paste and rip and deleted it. Let me just get back here and deleted this. That would not be great because that's going to screw up all the audio timeline. It's going to screw up everything and how it's done. So thankfully we got Control Z here to get us back to where we want to be. And so let's just click off over here. If you remember correctly that we can use our up and down arrows that move to the exact key that the next editing point. So up arrow moves back, editing points, it hits right on the money, and the forward arrow moves forward. So from there, we can mark this off with an in key, boom, move forward one, move it with the out key, boom. I believe we should be able to just hit the delete key from here, and that will take care of that and move it properly. Or not. That's disappointing. Let's try that again. So let's hit the out key, go to the next one, hit the in key. Ripple delete key. How about that? There we go. Let's try that one more time just to make sure we got that right. Move down the line here. Okay, we'll mark this one as out. We'll mark this one as in. Ripple delete key up here on our keyboard. Boom. Okay, so in doing that, we haven't disturbed anything that we've laid out here. We've just consolidated out of any blank black space as if we were playing it, it would come up as blank dead air in the midst of it. And the second one, 72, is the tracks over here, audio and video. And you can just simply add and delete tracks as you see fit. So if you want to add a track, you come up here, and lo and behold, there's track 3. Now all I've done is our lovely right-clicking here. So if I want to get rid of track 3, I can just come down here and say delete track. Now there's a couple other handy little things you can do here. So for example, I can click on, right click on, excuse me, and say add tracks plural. And it comes up here and it gives you a interactive box as to how many tracks you want to add for video, audio, where you want them to be placed, below first track, above 1 and 2. If you had more tracks, you'd have more options. So let's cancel out of that. And then the last thing here, add subtitle track. And did you see how that worked there? That gave us this subtitle track here on top. And we can just come right out there and delete that track as well. Boom. And we're back to normal. Okay, so that is the end of section 6. Thanks for hanging in there with me. I will do a better job in section 7. Thanks a lot.